Did the social worker not have any kind of impetus as far as what they were required to have present when they went and did this, or
they didn't care?
They just basically said I was fraudulent, and that they kept telling me I didn't have sole custody.
We asked them, did you ask if that parent had sole custody of that child? I didn't care.
They said they just didn't care. It didn't matter.
So a great deal of the situation that you're at this point could really be pointed to the fact that they didn't seem to follow through with the way that they're required to assess these matters. They just
Correct.
But here's why he didn't care. He didn't care because that investigator, state investigator, used to work where at Lynn County Sheriff with her ex-husband.
He worked there for 11 years, and I was his first person, from what I understand, that he ever investigated. So,
that's Matt.
do you know? Is he still employed?
Yes.
Yep.
Jeez.
They both are.
Yeah. I went through that conversation with them. They came back again, and I did this same conversation again, and they just kept telling me I was wrong, I was wrong. So I immediately went and turned off everything. When I went to call the Social Security office to stop Bryce's disability, they said, oh, it's already been stopped. Okay. So I said, all right, that's fine. And then
they were able to do that without your consent? And were they basing that upon the fact that they said that you didn't have custody?
They said I was being fraudulent because Bryce was at his dad's and he was not in my home, they said.
Yeah, when we called Social Security on the phone, they said it doesn't matter where the child lives. If we make you the payee, as long as you're using the funds for the child, it's irrelevant where he's at. If it's 50-50, 20-40, whatever.
Were you in the same town?
Yes.
So, like
well, no, I was in Lebanon, he was in Albany, but
okay, but pretty much. So if your son went to school, it wouldn't be clear as to.
No.
Yeah.
Because I drove him to school, and that happened a lot.
So there's no excuse for them saying that he was not with you. They tried
to use that. They tried to say, oh, I couldn't possibly be living in Lebanon and Bryce be in Albany in school, but that's a lie.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I went through this interviews with these guys, and then about a year and a half passes. I don't hear anything. And then in 2016,
remember they said you asked for a hearing.
Oh, let me back up. At the welfare office, they gave me papers in 2013 saying I had an overpayment for the money that they said that I shouldn't have gotten. And that would have been
so they wanted you to return?
That was food stamps, and then they said I owed cash for TANF. Now I want to be very clear with the TANF situation. I never received TANF. They charged me with
for people that aren't familiar, what is exactly?
So from my understanding, TANF is a program for people that are...
For needy families.
Needy families that are eligible to work. Now, I've been fighting...
It stands for Temporary Assistance for Needy Families.
Okay, and is that like a check or a debit card or something?
On
a card. Okay, so like a Oregon Trail card.
It goes on the Oregon Trail card, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. So people who aren't familiar like myself would know what that is. Thank you.
I wasn't getting that though. I was getting it was a program called Pre-SSI. It was a grant. So I was fighting for my own disability. I had had a stroke and was fighting some issues. I was working at Lowe's and hurt my leg. So I was fighting for a disability, and I was on my 6th year at that time when that happened. And this is in 2013. 6 years of fighting my disability and still hadn't gotten it. So when I went in to renew my food stamp grant, or food stamp, is that grant or whatever you call it, they said, well, you qualify for this pre-SSI program. It's a grant that you'll pay back if you win your disability. It's not very much. Okay, that would help me because I'm a single mom. I was not with Tim, was going to school. I was on my own still. We weren't married. We weren't together. Yeah, we're very good friends, and he was very good to me and helped me a lot through a lot of stuff, but he was not responsible for me financially. So we went through all this, and I put myself on that pre-SSI program. But then I asked for a hearing when they said I had this overpayment in 2013. And during that time, I don't hear much, and I keep getting these papers that say, oh, you're going to have a hearing, you're going to have a hearing. And in, what year was that? 2015, they finally said you're not going to get a hearing. They were dismissing it.
They were dismissing the whole thing.
And they just said, how could they, specifically before grant you a hearing and then just say they're not going to? Did they have a reason for it?
No, they just found it to.
It doesn't warrant a hearing. We're just going to dismiss the whole thing.
And this is
without prejudice.
This is from the state or from
That's
so
that's from the welfare
like Salem
office.
or something.
That's yes.
Okay. I just to establish that as opposed to say like Lynn or Benton County or something to that effect.
Well, it was the Lebanon branch where I was getting help, and that's who started this. So, I mean.
So basically, you were working with somebody in the Lebanon branch, but they were reporting to headquarters,
correct,
state office in Salem or something. So you had a chain of command. It's not like you were dealing with one small little local office that was.
Well, no, I was.
When they came to investigators, she asked, "Why? What brought this on?" Well, we got a complaint from a concerned citizen. No, it was from a letter from her ex-husband. That's what we came out with.
We found out the letter that was used from my ex-husband is what they were basing all of this on.
And just to kind of parlay all this back to our beginning point, you really your synopsis is that it's because he was buddy by working for the you said the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the plot thickens.
Well, it does thicken.
Because the DHS complaints that she got were started from a worker, Heather.
So just a little twist to the story. My ex-husband's brother's wife, who was his ex-wife, I don't know how to say this. They had a child. They had a child together when they were married. Got divorced. I don't know. 5 years later, they did a blood test because they thought it was my husband's child.
Because her husband.
He was having an affair with her.
Ex-husband.
Paternity.
So she works for DHS, and her name is on some of the papers. That was the complaints.
And her ex-husband's still having an affair with her.
And because she works for them, then she also probably carries a little bit more weight than Joe Q. Citizen would.
Well, yeah, because when I was married to my now ex-husband, they actually, she was working for the state then in the insurance department part, the Oregon State Insurance, and she called and told my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law at the time, mother-in-law, but she said, "Why is Jamie getting Oregon Health Plan?" Well, because I qualified. And so that's how bad it was. Even then, I didn't realize how much she was getting into my records, and I didn't even know it was illegal. So I've turned her in. They did an investigation. I don't know where that went. They're not allowed to tell me if they find her guilty.
It's still ongoing.
Yeah, it's probably similar to the investigations of, of the people that have alleged things with the Trump presidency as well.
Right.
It kind of bounces back and forth. They're like, "Are you going to ignore it today?" "No, I think I'll ignore it today." "Well, I'll send it over to you to ignore it today."
Yeah.
It's ignored, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so anyway, she's in this whole mess. And then in 2016, I won my disability from the Portland, Multnomah County Courthouse. They are the ones that reviewed it and accepted it. So the day after that, I was indicted. I was indicted with fraud.
They brought the case back because it was dismissed with prejudice, and then they brought it back up because she wanted.
And they were able to transfer this case from, is it Lynn or Benton County or Lynn County, and then try it in Multnomah County, even though there's nobody involved in the case from that particular area.
Supposedly state funds and state assistance. It's under
federal
the state umbrella.
Or something.
Federal. It's a federal thing. That's what they said.
So I was indicted the day after I won my disability. The gentleman, I didn't want to call him a gentleman, but the guy that did the investigator came to the door and handed me an indictment, and of course I'm freaking out. I don't know what this is, or I don't understand it. So basically, I called an attorney, and the attorney I got was from Portland. He told me that he had done federal courthouse cases before, and it's okay. I got a kitty, very cute kitty. But anyways, he was going to review my case and let me know if he could take it. And we went up to meet him, and he went over it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I can take this case. This is no problem." I had 4 boxes full of evidence. And what they charged me with was fraud of government funds.
Theft of government funds.
So food stamps, TANF, which I never got, and then SSI. And then they wanted me to take a plea, and I didn't, so she put a second or another charge on, a fourth charge of wire fraud.